All right, welcome back to the garage. Beautiful Sunday morning here in Virginia. We're supposed to have some snow, but in our neck of the woods here in Virginia, they don't really know. Weather prediction here is an anomaly. We're supposed to have like 1 to 3, and then it changed to wet snow. Now it's beautiful. It's beautiful out. I got a little fire going, burning some offcuts, and that bag right there is burning some bills. Some old paperwork. Beats a shredder. So here we are. Here's the table so far. This is the underside of the table. I think I hit the button there, but this is the underside. I was scraping away getting most of the rough stuff off with my hand plane here. It's a Stanley plane. I probably need to sharpen it now because I went through some of the epoxy, but you can see here it's in a roughened state. So what I'm going to do now is give it a rough sanding here with an 80 grit, run over the whole thing, and I'm probably not going to really finish sand or do much more sanding than that. I'm going to leave it at that 80 grit. And reason is I got to still come back and do a lot more to the underside to finish it off. So I'll stick with that, knock everything, all the plane marks, couple sections with this wood. There's checks here and there, and the plane caught up. You can see some rough spots like this type of stuff. So I'll knock those down with the sander, and then flip it. Do the same thing on the top side. I'll probably spend a little bit more time sanding that, getting that to a better finished state. And then my plan here for today is to really attack these breadboards. Figuring out how they got to fit on, size and all that jazz. And then start working on doing the mortise and tenons and all that jazz with that. So it should be a pretty good video. Once we get to that stage, I think what I'll do is set this off to the side and then start milling up some of this other lumber for the legs and the stretchers and getting that going. So thanks for joining, and enjoy the ride. All right, rough sanded on the bottom. Not that you could probably see any of that, but it's got a good rough sanding where I like it. Now, obviously the top. Lots to scrape and plane down. This is obviously, it's all bubbled over the voids that I filled, and I think it's gonna turn out really cool. Of course, it looks like a freaking mess right now, but let's get to hand planing, clean this stuff up, and then do a sanding on the top, rough sanding on the top, and we can knock out some breadboards, hopefully. This is definitely, the breadboard part has got me freaked out a little bit. I've been watching YouTube videos, and there's It's Third Coast Craftsman or Third Coast Carpentry. This guy's got a great video on doing the breadboards, both by hand tools and power tools. I'll do a mix of both, but he gave a really good tutorial on how to do it. So I'm going to take doing a true breadboard. You know, the ones I did on the benches for the dining room is not a true breadboard. It looks like it, but it's not. This will be a true breadboard with mortise and tenon and drawboard pegs and everything. So a little nervous about it, but let's take our stab at it. In the meantime, let's start planing all this, what appears to be like schnot all over the tabletop. So let's get crack-a-lacking. You're right. The rest will come out with some fine sanding, but that's it. It's all cleaned up now. I think it's actually looking, hopefully it comes through in the camera. I think I might need to clean a little bit more right here. So if you get close enough, you can see how the epoxy bleeds over in the crack, whereas this one, you can see it's really just within the crack. This one too, my shadow is just in the crack, in the void. So that's what you're going with. Like this part I was just working on is just in the crack. It looks cool though. Now that it's all cleaned up. I've got a little bit more right here to clean up, and then we'll do a quick little sanding. I think, I don't know, probably won't even use 80 grit. That's too rough. It's got a pretty good finish on it. I might just stick with like 100 or 120 or something. And then sorry about the camera work. And then we'll start working on these breadboards over here. All right, let's get crack-a-lacking. I couldn't wait. You know, I'm impatient. So I put some water on just to see what it looked like. Obviously, I still got a lot more sanding to do, but look at that. So it's wet out. You can see, obviously, the black. It's gonna look real good, I think. Still a lot sanding to do, but see the chatter marks from my plane. This one's coming out nice, so it's got like a, you can see that. I don't know, I love it where it is in the knots. But it is coming out good, so you know, if you like the video, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, start following me. We got some more sanding to do, and then knock out some breadboards, hopefully, at least get started. I don't think I'll even come close to finishing one, but I gotta run these through the planer and start doing all that stuff, so get stuff set up and start working on one side and then the other. This is a long ass table. We were sitting at our dining room table the other day, and it's, I don't know, about 8 inches short. It feels big in there, and then coming out here and seeing this, and I still gotta add some breadboards. Yeah, this is a big ass table, so they were definitely have some serious family dinners at this, and you know, hopefully you got a little conversation piece while you're eating. So all right, stick around, let's keep working. All right, all cleaned up, at least to a state where I'm happy with it for now. There's still a lot more sanding that needs to take place. Final sanding and everything, but this is fine for now. So now what I'm doing is, these are 6-inch, and I'm actually glad that I didn't cut it less. I was thinking about doing like a 5 or even a 4-inch breadboard. This is a 6-inch breadboard, and I like the way it looks on the table. It looks beefy, wide. So what I'll do is, with the 6-inch breadboard, I will cut 4-inch tenons. So if you picture this table, there'll be a tenon off of this table about 4 inches. I keep getting hung up on my overalls. About 4 inches will be inside this, right? So what I need to do first, and I'm just gonna work on one end at a time. I'll do this end, then I'll go down, and obviously you can see I got plenty of board here. I'll have to take a planer and clean up the edges, but I'm gonna mark where I need to mark on the table with a marking knife. Make a nice line, straight line. I'll chisel to the back of that line. We'll get this all on video, but I'll chisel back to it so I don't so we don't have any tear out on the table. I don't want that. So we'll do that, then I'll use the track saw and cut a nice perfect line. A bunch of kerf marks, I don't even know if you saw that. We'll take the track saw and we'll cut a nice good line, almost just shy of my knife marking line. We'll do a bunch of kerf marks, then we'll clean all that up, knock all those pieces out, and then we gotta flip it and do the other side. I'll figure out, I think what maybe I'll do, cut the top, cut this side to where I need it, measure and cut this side to where I need it, flip it, cut the underside, and then flip it back, come back, and then I'll have to start messing with the breadboard. Have to do like a little dado in here, essentially a groove cut. I don't know, I may do a 1/2 inch, 3/4 deep, and then I gotta cut my mortises into the breadboard so it can fit. I know that I do not explain that well at all. In my mind, it's somewhat working. Bouncing all over the place on how it's supposed to work. I'm definitely not like a Bob Vila or Norm talking you through these things. So I'll just get some video you guys can follow along. I'll try to explain as I'm going too. All right, thank you. Let's get going. All right. Marking knife. That's what that is. It's flat on one side, not on the other, right? So it depends. These are directional. I don't have one where it does both, but you would put this side up against the flat. So if I'm running this way, you use this flat side here, running this way. I wouldn't use this one because then my line would be off. So I'm gonna actually use this one. Run this way. Very light, shallow cuts. You press too hard and you're bound to steer away from the straight edge. So this line that I'm marking will be the edge of the breadboard, or the edge of the tenon, I should say. So down this line here will be straight down, cut down. I need to figure out the size, the thickness, or the depth, but that'll be the shoulder of the tenon. So that little chattering that you're hearing is the wood, it's the grain of the wood. Obviously, it looks smooth to the eye, but you run your fingernail over it and you've got variations in the grain. So that's that chattering that you're hearing when I'm doing this knife. So go a little bit harder now. Okay, happy with that. Take this off, and what we're gonna do, here's the line. If you can see that, the line in there, the shadow's horrible. We're gonna follow that same line down the edge of the table on both sides. This way when we flip it, I know exactly where my line's gonna be. But before we do that, we'll do this side as well. Maybe that's what I'll do. Follow these down to edge. Same thing over here. Flip it. Strike our line across. And then start cutting on the other side. flip it back to this top side because this is the top of the table. Finish up doing these cuts, and then I'll have my tenon, which we'll have to finish up. We'll cut. It's gonna be like dental molding. You know, I'm in Virginia. I have all my teeth. In West Virginia, I'm so bad. You know, like a pumpkin. You got summer teeth. Some are over here, some are over there. That's so bad. If I have any West Virginia followers, sorry. I'm a Virginia Tech guy, which, yeah, it's pretty much all close to the West Virginia border. Anyways, the tenon, it's not going to be one solid tenon all the way across. I'm going to make it so it's one of these, right? And I'll be honest with you, I don't know why that is. I think so you have, thinking right now, I just asked, I don't know why that is. In actuality, I think I do know why that is. So you've got individual planks here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planks. I think the way they do this is you've got, essentially, it's going to be like this. Cut in, notch. You'll get a tenon here, then back in, then a tenon here, then back in, and then a tenon here, right? These will be the teeth. And I think why they do that is, I don't know, or one of my earlier videos, you do get movement in the wood. Wood expands and swells like we do. Like adults do, I should say, not kids. Kids are still growing height-wise. Wood doesn't do that. Wood does not grow or expand or contract this way. It's going to expand or contract this way. Now, this is super old wood, seasoned. I don't expect much movement in this wood, much more movement in this wood. But what I'm going to do is essentially cut my teeth, right? But then when I cut the mortises in the breadboard, I'm going to give myself about an 1/8 inch wiggle room. Just so if this wants to move a little bit, right, it's got some wiggle room that it can, so it's not splitting the table apart. And we'll go with that. I think, you know, at least I think I just convinced myself that's why it's done that way. I should probably read up on these things before I actually start yapping, because I'm sure I'm way off. What time is it? It's 12:45. I've been at this for 4 hours working on this top. I'm starting to lose my mind. But hey, it's still early in the day. Keep chugging along and make some progress. There's no work tomorrow. President's Day. So I get a whole nother day of woodworking, which I love. So I think this table's, I'm excited about this table. I'm excited when the finish is going to go on, because the epoxy, this black metallic epoxy, is going to really pop out. And you know, that wood up against that wood, that contrast. And I'm glad I did a black. If you did some other color, I think it would have pulled away or detracted from the grain of this wood. This chestnut grain is really cool, and it's not clear grain. It's lots of knots, and obviously chestnut get decimated. I forget what the beetle or the bug was, but you can see all these little wormholes or bug holes in all this stuff. I love it. I love the look of it. Let's get crack-a-lacking. Quit yapping. All right, guys. So there's a little trick. I'm using, again, the marking knife. I'm putting the knife, before I put this right angle up to it, I'm putting the knife in the score line that I already made and putting the ruler up next to it. And then I'm spot on. So put the knife in, bring the gauge in. Again, nice light, shallow ones, and then get a little bit deeper. And boom, now I got a nice line. Let's see if you guys can see that. There's my line. And then there's the line across the top. So now when I flip that board, flip the table, I'll have a nice line that I can put my knife up to and continue my line on the other side, or the underside. Put my blade in the mark, or in the first line I made. Run my gauge up to it, my 90. Light, shallow cuts. There we go. Nice line. Nice straight line. All the way across. So let's get this other side, and then we'll flip it and do the underside.
Right. Shallow cuts. Okay, let me hold it. Alright.
Clamps off. Nice line. So all this, I mean, that's all the extra. That's not going to all be in the breadboard. So I'm going to have to trim this off to be the 4 inches that I need it. Same thing on that side, but I'm just marking. This would be essentially 6 inches, right? The breadboard. 6 inches on that side gives us our 8-foot table. So let's do the same thing over here. Let's mark our sides or edges. Cords and all sorts of a trip hazard. Oh, yeah, trippage. So same thing here. Put my knife in the mark. Run my mark up to it, or my ruler. My right end or right angle. Now I run it down the edge. Now I got a nice line again. So I can follow to the underside. Let's do the same thing on this side. It is cold in here, man. You can see I got the heater working next to me. Knife in the mark. Down. Nice mark. I'm almost through all my scrap wood, burning it. You see a little pile out there. Oh, maybe you can't. Sunlight. I got the heater cranked in here, which really sucks because you can see it's only 41 degrees in here. It's chilly. But I got almost through my scrap wood pile out here. It's alright, trying to clean up. It was a mess in here. It still is a mess in here. There's always a mess in this garage. It's just not enough space, you know. If I had the complete 2-car garage, I think, without the kids' bikes and all the toys and stuff, maybe a little bit easier to maintain, but you know, I can't take all the space. Little guy and little girls' bikes over here, and skateboards and sleds, and the ultimate Nerf rack over here. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is a mess. I mean, look at all this Nerf stuff. It's just like a pile of shit. All right, let's flip this. We're gonna flip it and do the same thing on the other side. All right, what have I been doing besides making a mess in this garage like I always do? I mean, there's crap everywhere. Look at this thing, the dust and shit up. Look at that. Anyways, that's what you get. So, what I've been doing is cutting these breadboards. So I got the bottoms done. Right? So, use the track saw and the saw blade set to a depth. Run a bunch of kerfs or cuts down to it. And then what I'm doing is knocking out a couple of these at a time with the chisel and the hammer, and then coming back through with the router set at a specific depth to clean up the rest of it. So that's essentially what I was doing. That's what I did with the bottoms. This is the bottom of the table, top of the table. Bottom's already cut on both sides. And so that's what I've been doing. Basically, make sure I get this in the camera. Coming through here, trying to knock out a couple rows at a time. Make it a little bit easier for the router bit. So I've been doing that. You can see it leaves it real rough, and then I've been coming back with the router. See if I can get that in. And it cleans it up pretty nice. Got a little bit of chips on the edge, but that'll be all right. So let me knock out these last two rows, and actually this last row, I'll do the last two. I probably won't use a router bit because I'm close to the shoulder. That's what this is, the shoulder. The breadboard will right up against that. all done. Breadboard's cut. So now, I think what I'll do is, what time is it? It's almost 4 o'clock. I'll probably call it a day. But before I do, clean up a little bit, but I need to pour some epoxy in this bad boy. Because this is going to be obviously a breadboard, right? Like that. Or like this. Let's see. Right, so it's going to fit like that. What you're seeing here, most of it's going to be inside this. Right? Well, before I start drilling and everything, I'm going to have to fill this sucker. That's a big old knot. The other one's pretty good. I don't think there's anything to fill in this one. Maybe a little bit. Some on this backside here. I don't know, maybe fill a little bit right here on this. Maybe I'll make that the bottom anyways. I'm gonna clean up some of the shoulder. The shoulder is this, right here. That is the shoulder. Sorry about the camera work. Doing one-hander here. I mean, I gotta plane these edges. What I'm doing is seeing how that line looks. You can see I got a space over here. Right in here probably needs to be taken down a little bit, but anyway, some fine tuning. But that's what you got. So what I'll do, probably fill some voids here with epoxy, and then tomorrow, essentially that 4 inches, not the whole thing. Remember, I got to cut it like teeth type of thing, like a jack-o'-lantern teeth. But essentially, parts of this got to fit in here. So we're gonna have to notch out or do like a little groove here, probably a 1/2 inch or 3/4, and then we'll determine where these teeth go. Let's see if I can give you a sense on what. So essentially, you know, I don't know the size or what they'll be, but right. Something like this. These little sections will be cut out. Right? You'll have this needs to fit into here. This will be cut out. This needs to fit into that. So I'm gonna have to notch every once in a while. And I'll use the saw, a little hand saw, and cut all that stuff out. But I think we'll do that tomorrow. To finish up, I'm gonna fill some of these voids here. Tape it up and fill some voids. Because this is this is an inch and 1/8, and I need to bring it down to 1 inch. So I'll fill this with the epoxy, and then do some planing probably tomorrow. Plane it down to the size it needs to be. All right, we'll call it a day. I'll finish up the video there. Make sure to like it. Please subscribe if you aren't already. Once you do subscribe, hit that little bell and you'll get notified every time I put out a new video. I've been, I think, at least 1 video a weekend type of thing. Maybe 2, sometimes 2, maybe 1 during the week. All depends on what's happening. But thank you for joining me, and I look forward to tomorrow. Bye-bye.